Light it up, brah. Get
Let's do this,
that
man.
love smoke. What's up, everybody?
I'm in my happy spot.
He's getting that smoke on in his happy spot with his happy stick.
Ladies and gentlemen, that game sucked. But let's talk about the silver lining, because that's what we do.
Well,
Chet Holmgren.
no. Let's back up, though.
Holmgren.
When you have a 30-point loss, man, finding the silver lining on anything is hard. I just want to let you guys know that. Like, it's not easy to separate yourself from a 30-point loss and say, hey, we're going to decide to only look at the positive here. Because when Shai scores 7 points, your team's probably not going to win very many games. And that's just the way it is.
All right.
But what we saw last night, though,
right,
from a couple other players, to me, needs to be talked about. So thus, here we go.
All right. So first thing, I mentioned it, Chet. 17 points in the first half. Didn't he have like 17 and 13 in the first half or something crazy like that? Maybe I'm wrong.
No, he didn't have 13. I'm pulling it up right now.
13 rebounds the other day. But he had 17 points. He was going head-to-head with a Joker. You can say whatever you want about the rest of the guys not showing up, not getting him the support. Fine. First home game, you're playing against the champs, whatever. Get some nerves. Bad things happen. I don't give a fuck, dude. What Chet did proves to me what I've been saying, which is we would have won a minimum of 12 more games last year if Chet was there, because he's that good. You go 7 blocks in game 2 for him, and then you go 17 points in the first half. Like, if we can get this level of play at all on a regular basis from him, the other guys are going to show up. We know that. There's no fucking doubt about that, dude.
Man, I love talking about Chet. He played 26 minutes last night. He had 4 rebounds, 2 offensive, 2 defensive. Didn't get assist. They said he didn't get a block. I know for a fact he got at least 2 blocks out there. Say what you guys want. I think he's totally getting ripped off right now on all these calls. I don't know what's going on with it, but on the same sense, I don't want to get stuck on complaining about the refs, because that's not what we do here. But Shai got fouled every single time he went in the middle of the lane. He got murdered. And the thing is that the respect isn't there yet. And it's bullshit. He's an all-NBA basketball player.
We've seen that every game now. 3 games in, he's not getting the calls. He's not getting any respect. It's to say that it's like, oh well, this is just happening is a little bit beyond what I'm willing to admit. I think that the refs decided coming into the season they weren't going to give him calls. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they wanted him to see how he was going to react. I think there's every player, you sit there and wonder, are you going to be a meta world peace, or are you going to be a Kobe that doesn't like a play, says something about it, and then gets on the other side of the court and just plays harder defense and doesn't mull on it? Like, that's what I think a lot of people are, looking at this Oklahoma City Thunder team, and they're like, oh, they're a bunch of young players. Let's see if we can get them rallied up. So what do? They put out a big lineup against us yesterday. And they did. And that's how they play anyways. But if you look at the way that we didn't get calls, right? That's just the way that what happens when you play bully basketball. When you have one team that's so much more physical than the other one, there's certain calls that just aren't going to be called every single time. They're not going to slow down the game and give a team 35 free throws and the other team 7. They're just not going to do that in the NBA. They're going to slow things down as slowly as they can without making it so lopsided it's ridiculous. So I think that's what we ran into, is that Denver was just fouling us, and every single time that the refs had to sit back and be like, which ones are we going to call, which ones are we going to let go? Because, again, they're the champs. They get a little bit more leeway. And I think that's what we ran into. They were just bullying Shai last night. And Shai typically would have bounced back. But you know what? 7.7 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 steal. It's not what Shai does, but I like it. Let's go and talk about somebody that
before we move on, because I do want to talk about that next. But Blake said the other teams are going to game plan to shut him down, and obviously that's what happened here.
What's up, Blake?
They play a really clean game when it comes to. I know you said that he was fouled a lot, and he was, but the refs let you get away with certain types of contact, and they don't let you get away with other types of contact. And
Shai was getting up in the air.
When it's time to blow the whistle, they would clean it up. Like a lot of people here like to watch American football, right? So, you know, if you're talking about the line of scrimmage for a receiver, you can create contact, but when the ball's up in the air, then you have to like play a little cleaner until the ball touches the hands of the receiver, and then you can play as dirty as you want, right? Like, and for basketball, the equivalent is, before Shea goes into his shot motion, you can play as physical as you want, just about. As soon as he goes into his shot motion, you better not have your hands reached in, keep them back, right?
Yep.
But play physical with your chest and your body, right?
That's right.
And so the refs are like, hey, we're gonna let them get away with that. And Shea's like, this is gonna be really hard to do my job if that's how it's gonna be. But
he didn't sit there and cry about it.
That's how they officiate the games in FIBA. Like, he's just got to come out and say, like, there are open shots that I'm not taking because I'm trying to get to the free throw line. And if they're not going to let that, I'm going to knock down those open shots, and I'm going to start getting some and ones, and then I'm going to get the momentum that way. We've seen it happen with other Thunder players before, where the refs decide to take away easy free throws. So it's not new to us.
Yeah, but it wasn't just that. We were missing everything, man. Like, let's just be honest. We shot 18% from 3-point range, 6 for 32, and we weren't forcing 3-point shots. We were taking what was open.
Yeah. What up,
so when you add the combination of here's the three things that we lost the game on. All right. Shea not playing his 36 minutes, right? Bench not scoring what they usually score. Okay. Because you take out Trey Mann's 8 minutes, and then the bench pretty much was like crazy bad. And then we shot 18% from 3-point range. All three things went wrong in order for us to lose this game like this. If two of the things went wrong and one of the things went right, I guarantee we still lose the game, but at least it'd be a 7-point loss and not a 30-point loss. That's how our team is. And if you think about it and the concept of the game, you don't need much more going for you if you're shooting 3-point shots and they're going in. It doesn't matter if Shea doesn't score, 25 points if you're shooting, 40% from 3-point range. It doesn't matter if you have your 40%, shooting from 3-point and you're shooting that as your starters, because then it doesn't matter what the bench players are doing. So there's just so much that went wrong in one game that it was just an uncontrollable loss. And I want to go back to one of our other rookies. We talked about Chet, but Cason Wallace, man, 7 points, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 assist, 3 rebounds, which one of it was an offensive board. I think he stole it out of Joker's hands. But here's the thing that's crazy about him. And now the rest of the NBA is starting to buzz about this, and they should be. Because I said if he does 3 games in a row where he doesn't miss a 3-point shot at all, and he gets only 1 missed shot, which he's done now, people are going to start talking about him. And he's missed 1 shot in his NBA career in 3 games. And it's not like he's not getting minutes. He's averaging 20-something minutes a game right now, 20-something minutes a game right now. And he's missed 1 shot. He's scored a total of 30 points so far, so he's averaging 10 points a game. And the shot that he missed was not a 3-point shot. Think about that, guys. As a rookie, have we ever heard of a more efficient rookie than that? I haven't.
Let me ask you about Cason, because I get it. Isaiah Joe is our, de facto best shooter because of what he did last year. But I think Cason, I think Joe's a little streakier. I know it's early for me to say Cason is an elite shooter and he's going to be consistent, but I think when you look at a player like Cason and you have such a short sample size, but you do look at some of the Kentucky stuff, what you start to think about is mechanics. You can't say he's going to average 100% 3-point shooting. That's ridiculous. But what we're going to see is we're going to see the mechanics be where there's going to be a regression to the mean, but what does that mean? And what is that average that he should be in? So for me, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, if he is, which he's proven to be so far, an intelligent shot selector, right? His mechanics indicate to me that he could be a high 40% 3-point shooter for the course of his career. And the reality is, I don't know that you can say that about Joe's career. He can have years like that, right? But I think Cason could already have an argument to be the best shooter on the team. And I think you could argue that Cason, because of his mechanics, strictly, not just his percentage, right? But he could be the best shooter on about half the teams in the NBA. Because you look at it, and he's not a normal level player. And like I said, it's mostly for me coming down to mechanics, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, that corner 3, that's about as perfect of a shot. Let's just say it, dude. The last person that I saw with this level of mechanics would be like a Ray Allen. And
Hmm.
I don't want to talk about players who are playing now because it's just not really like it's not good to do, and there's only one player I can think of, and that's just not healthy. But like Ray Allen's mechanics weren't as good as Cason Wallace's. Let me just put it that way. Ray Allen's mechanics were not as good. Ray Allen needed to get more lift on his shot. Cason shoots in-game shots like practice shots. He knows his spots. I'm serious. This guy is a Ray Allen level shooter. People don't get that yet because they look at him as a point guard. And he has handles. He's a little undersized. I get why people don't get it, but like he is flat out a knockdown shooter as good as we've ever seen for the Thunder. And not just a knockdown shooter. He has like absolute star potential because Ray Allen, like you could say he was a shooter, but very few times people would argue that he was a pure scorer. Like Cason can finish around the basket. Cason's drives are really good. His passing is at a high level. He's an absolute baller with a deadly three-point shot.
I think the most impressive thing about what Cason does for me is that nothing is rushed. Nothing is forced.
Exactly.
Nothing is like, I need to do this. I mean, I'm looking at the stats and he had 0 turnovers again in 22 minutes. Like nothing is forced. He's so efficient. He's so knowledgeable where to go, where to shoot from. Mark and I have talked about it before, actually last game when we were all talking about who we think that he kind of reminds me of. And I remember Jamal Murray when he was younger. He wasn't as good of a shooter as Cason is early on. But Jamal Murray's the way he drives and penetrates and is so strong and is knowledgeable where to get and where to shoot from and where the weakest defenders are at all times. Like that's the type of like IQ I see in Cason Wallace. I see that like understanding and desire to be that level. And then you add in the shooting, and then it's a completely different ball game because now you're looking at his peak as being a different level. And that's why I gotta stop and I've got to say, like, what are we seeing right here? What are we seeing in the Oklahoma City Thunder? Because if Cason is that good and he is that efficient, right, then we are going to have to put him in that 6-man slot, and he is going to get considerable votes for 6-man because if he's able to do that, right, and he's able to get that type of minutes, people are going to notice that. And then second of all is how long can you keep somebody like that out of your starting lineup? I think you can keep him out of his starting lineup their rookie year, but if he's that efficient and he's that good like we think he is, right, you've got to find a spot for him in the starting spot because it's not just his offense that's good. His defense is so high caliber. I mean, it is one of those things where everybody's like, well, you want Dort guarding the best player out there. I get that. I get that, guys, right? But I love Dort coming off the bench for Canada, Team Canada. I love that. Like, it brought a different atmosphere. He could be the man taking the shots. And I think with Cason, the way he plays defense is you put him on against the best player, and then you go to Dort second to play that defender right there. You've got a different type of 1-2 punch that nobody else can fuck with because Cason Wallace is in your face. He doesn't, create that contact. He's not physical, but he's in your face. He's right there at all times, right? You can't go around him. He's just right there. Boom. He's frustrating for everybody. But what does Dort do? Dort's physical. So now Cason's going to wear the guy down, right? Because he's going to have to get him to get to the next stage to get around him. And it's really difficult. So Cason wears him down. And then coach goes, Dort, get out there. And Dort just smashes them. Because what are they going to do? Now they're tired. Now Dort's out there. And it's the same thing that's happening right now with Cason coming in the game. And Cason's taking their best defender right away, giving Dort a little bit of break. Like, to me, the way that I see this team designed, and now that we're seeing what Cason can do, I know 7 points, not that great, whatever. But it's not just the 7 points. He played 22 minutes. He was doing everything out there. Block shot, a steal. I think he even had like 3 deflections. Like, he is everywhere, guys. He had a steal. Well, he grabbed the ball out of Joker's hand for an offensive board, right? He scores. Okay. He turns around, right? And he gets them to dribble the ball off of their feet.
Yep.
Like, it was like a 1, 2, 3 thing. It was like, holy shit. Like, again, it's, so, he might have not scored. He might not score, but he's still got an extra possession because he still stayed with it. And he was the smallest guy on the court.
Would you say that our rookies, Cason and Chet, have been the most consistent offensive and defensive players on the team?
Well, Shea, up into this last game, obviously, is going to be Shea. But
like, come on, like you got.
Yeah, I would say that because
last game against him. I mean, these are the
J-Dub,
first 3 games of the season. So
J-Dub's at 14, 15 points a game right now.
Yeah, but
that's what he's averaging.
Extremely inconsistent. Like,
yeah, and it's up and down,
right,
and
exactly.
that's fine.
He'll figure it out. But I'm talking.
Yeah, teams are playing him differently than they played last year, so that's why it's like this for him.
My only point is 3 games into their rookie seasons.
Yeah,
I know what I'm going to get from Cason defensively. I know what I'm going to get from Chet defensively. I know what I'm going to get offensively from Cason, and I know what I'm going to get offensively from Chet. And I can't think for sure of a time where, like, for the Thunder, I didn't know what I was going to get from Shea. We know what we're going to get from Shea, so I'm not worried about that. But it just hasn't been, like, it's been inconsistent. And even when he got 31 the first game, he went to the free throw line once. Like, it's just been like the most unusual set of circumstances for Josh Giddey, for J-Dub, for even Dort. He goes out and gets 20, but he's not really a factor in the other 2 games offensively that much.
But this is normal, man.
But not
this
for
is the
rookies,
start of every
not
season.
For rookies to be the leader.
No, not for rookies to be the leader, but for other players that are second and third year players to stumble.
And when we were talking about this team's expectations, we never assumed that Cason and Chet would be immediately the leaders. Like, the upside gets way higher if they're already showing everybody else how to do it.
Yeah. Like, when we talked about this team, we've always talked about Shea being 1, J-Dub being 2, Josh Giddey being that assist man, Dort being that defender man. Like, we said we're going to let Chet, prove his worth. We weren't ever going to put Chet in a block, but what we're seeing from Chet is way superior than we could have thought. I mean, like, straight up, like the 7 blocks, the 17 points in 1 half, the knowledge and the defensive deflections. I mean, I think he has probably 4 or 5 blocks that haven't been counted as blocks. Like, it's just insane to me what we're seeing. We had a game with 13 rebounds. Like, we're seeing so much from Chet. It's like, okay, this guy, in my opinion, at this very fucking moment, is the second best player on our team. You got Shea and Chet show. And that's not a diss against Dort or Josh Giddey or J-Dub. It just means that they have to up their game because we're seeing such a high level from Shea and Chet right now that it's so impressive. And we're not the only ones that see it. We all know that you guys see it too, and Coach D sees it. So for me, it's just that's what we're seeing at this early stage of this year. The year is still early, so it will change. Things will get better. Things will get worse. Part of life. And at this point, though, I feel pretty good, even though we had a 33-point loss. I felt like we did a good job in understanding what the role was for this team. And that's as simple as that can be. Like, we didn't have one guy that played 30 minutes yesterday in a back-to-back night. We had guys playing hard. We had the bench players coming out. Trey Mann scored 12 points in 8 minutes. Like, there was some things that we saw that was really, really good. And for me, seeing that from Trey Mann, he's dying to get playing time. And if this is what he can put out, 12 points in 8 minutes, coach is going to go to him. Dude, this is his opportunity to go to him.
You're right. And listen, man, I think what we need to take away from, like, the silver lining factor of all this is this, like, 3 games into the season, and it legitimately looks like we have 2 players who can move into the top 5 of a team that won 40 games last year, and they're rookies. Like, top 5. We're talking.
I know, dude.
Chet maybe all the way up at number 2, and Cason has a chance to move into top 5. How?
I mean, I'll be honest. I think he's sitting at 6 right now.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
No. Not picking at number 10 for Cason. Like, you expect this, from some of the other players that are like, well, like Giannis or, like Shea. You know what I'm saying? Some of these other guys, it's like, yeah, I can see that, people messed up on that one. But when you're talking about Cason and as many point guards that were in this draft, like, you just sit there and you're like, how did they drop the ball in this? How in a draft where, yes, you had forwards and centers and, good ones, how did this get dropped so badly that Cason just was available? And not just that, but think about this. How much better would Dallas be with Cason? And they had him, and they traded him, and they gave us Bertans on top of it.
They fell for Lively, bro. They fell for the Lively trick.
And Lively's doing good, man. I'm not gonna diss him. Like he's a good player, but you could have got him at 16. So, you could have came back and traded something else and got could have got Cason and Lively. Like
Dallas, I got so lucky to get the pick, and they're like, woo! And they went and fucking missed Cason
because they wanted to save $17 million, bro.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, you're right, David brought up a good point. He said that they needed a big. Lively's a better player for them. Yes,
look, that was the convention at the moment.
But when
if you miss
Cason
out on
is showing what he's showing,
fucking star, dude, a fucking star.
Yeah, Cason's so good. Like they dropped the ball on this one. Just like people are like, oh well, they didn't need another point guard. Well, guess what? Everybody needs another point guard.
They need
Shea.
a fucking shooter. They need somebody to be able to put in a corner and say, "Hey, Luka, hit this person. He's open."
Absolutely.
And I think shooter who can handle the ball. Thank you.
And here's the thing. As far as a big,
or Zampresti as we call him.
Yeah, as far as a big, like bigs are, for me, I look at Luka. You want a veteran big. You just want a veteran big. Like there's so many veteran bigs that are available at this point, because here's the reality: is that having a young player that can grow with Luka is great, is amazing. But Luka is at a championship level right now. No. So trying to build a team around Luka when he's already at a championship level means that you're always going to get pick 10. Like you're always going to end up with pick 12. Like it's going to turn into the Portland Trailblazers.
I mean,
all over again.
They had to really work to get that 10 pick. They even got fined for admitting how hard they were working to get it. Like,
yeah, they had to tank it. Tank that shit, bro. They're like, get Luka. We don't want him playing anymore. He's going to make us win.
Out loud. Come on, Mark Cuban. You're not supposed to admit it. Like everybody knows. Come on.
Anyways, all right, guys. We'll see you tonight, 8:00 Eastern, 7:00 Central.
Listen, be there on YouTube. Special shout out to our buddy Smithsta for joining us at halftime. Dude. As always, we're looking forward to having you back. Sunday, obviously, crazy day. So,
guys,
everybody who wants to join us,
come on the halftime show with us. That is the bomb diggity. And if the game gets close, coming out and calling so we can all get on the same level, dude, is the best, man. Seriously. We appreciate all of you guys
on the call. We want more than one person. Let's get 4 or 5, 6 people all watching the game together,
rolling up blunts, smoking, drinking.
Yeah. And so
snorting.
Do your thing. Smoking, drinking, snorting, shooting. Let's play, guys.
Yeah. See you guys tonight.